You know, for as long as I can remember, and I'm talking decades here, being a fan of this team in Chicago felt like being stuck in a time loop. It was always the same story: a ferocious defense, a cloud of dust, and a quarterback situation that felt more like a tragedy than a position group.
Oh, absolutely. It was the defensive town identity. You wear it like a badge of honor, but deep down, you're starving for something modern. You're watching the rest of the league play 3D chess while you're stuck playing checkers in the mud.
Exactly. But then you look at what happened in 2025. It feels like the simulation glitched. We aren't just talking about a good season. We are talking about a fundamental DNA rewrite of the franchise.
It is a total identity shift. And honestly, if you want to pinpoint ground zero for this explosion, you have to start with the hiring of Ben Johnson.
The Ben Johnson effect.
Right. And looking back, it's funny because everyone thought, okay, he's the offensive guru. He's going to bring cool plays. But it wasn't just the playbook, was it? It was a coup, a schematic coup.
It really was. And what stood out to me wasn't the fancy trick plays, it was the discipline. It felt surgical.
Surgical is the perfect word. You compare it to the previous regimes, there was a lot of that rah-rah, table-pounding energy before. But Johnson came in with this quiet, almost terrifying focus on mental toughness. I mean, have you heard about the long drive drills?
Oh, the no substitution drills?
Yeah. Running play after play, high tempo, no subs, specifically designed to simulate the exhaustion of a late fourth quarter. That's not just conditioning, that's psychological warfare against your own limits. And you saw it pay off. The 2025 Bears didn't just win, they won when it was ugly.
That final rebuttal philosophy he talked about.
Precisely. The idea that no matter what happens for 58 minutes, if we have the ball last and one timeout, we win. Leading the NFL with 6 comeback wins isn't luck. That's a manufactured outcome. It's aggressive game management.
And that bleeds into the locker room. I remember reading a quote from Caleb Williams where he said the biggest difference from 2024 to 2025 was simply the belief. It sounds cliche, but when you watch them, you see it. The offense, defense, special teams, they looked like a singular organism.
Which brings us to the man himself, Caleb Williams.
The ghost of 4,000 yards.
Laughs, the elusive ghost.
He finished with 3,730 yards. Just short. But does it even matter?
Not even a little bit. If you're hung up on the 4,000-yard mark, you're missing the forest for the trees. The story of Caleb's 2025 season wasn't volume, it was efficiency. He went from being a roller coaster rookie, high highs, low lows, to a legitimate top-tier starter. A 90.3 passer rating in this offense? That is historic for this franchise.
The stat that blew my mind wasn't the yards, though. It was the sack rate.
Oh, the pressure to sack rate.
Yeah, in 2024, he was the worst in the league. If he got pressured, he was going down. In 2025, he cut that rate in half, down to 13.7%. How does a guy change his instincts that drastically in one offseason?
Well, it's two things working in tandem. First, it's Johnson's guardrails, giving Caleb easy answers so he doesn't have to play hero ball every down. But secondly, you have to give flowers to the front office. Bringing in veterans like Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson, that turned the offensive line from a turnstile into a wall. Caleb finally trusted the pocket.
But he still had that magic when the pocket broke.
That's the off-script factor. You look at that Week 16 game against the Packers. Overtime. The play breaks down, the design is dead. In the past, that's a turnover. This time, Caleb improvises, finds a lane, and makes the coaching staff right. That ability to create when structure fails, that's what separates the good ones from the greats.
And he wasn't doing it alone. We have to talk about the arsenal. I mean, looking at this roster, it was almost an embarrassment of riches.
It really was. You start with DJ Moore. He's the alpha, he's the heartbeat, just reliable, consistent production that let everyone else settle in.
But the new guys, Colston Loveland,
The Michigan rookie.
he became Caleb's security blanket almost instantly.
He did. And think about the tactical nightmare that creates. You put Loveland on the field with Cole Kmet. That's 12 personnel, 2 tight ends. Usually, defenses treat that as a running formation, but with those two, they're both pass-catching threats. It stretched defenses to the breaking point.
And then you add the speed. Luther Burden III.
Yards after catch. That was the missing element, wasn't it? In previous years, the Bears had guys who could catch, but they'd go down on contact. Burden catches a 5-yard slant and turns it into a 50-yard touchdown. That vertical explosion changes how safeties have to play. They have to back off, which opens up the run game. It's all connected.
So, offensively, they are a juggernaut. But I want to pivot to the other side of the ball. Because this is Chicago, we have to talk defense.
The defense of havoc.
Dennis Allen came in as coordinator and the philosophy shifted. It wasn't about bending but not breaking anymore. It was about taking the ball away.
High risk, high reward. And for the most part, it worked. You saw the rise of DeMarco Jackson at linebacker, absolute breakout star. Him playing next to Montez Sweat and Jalen Johnson, that's a scary unit.
But I hear a but coming.
But we have to be honest about the 49ers game.
The 42-38 loss.
Exactly. That was the reality check. That game showed that while this defense is opportunistic, they are still a few pieces away from being dominant. When they couldn't generate turnovers against San Francisco, they got gashed. They gave up 42 points.
It felt like if they didn't get the ball back, they couldn't stop the bleeding.
Right. The secondary was elite. Jalen Johnson and Tariq Stevenson made Soldier Field a nightmare for quarterbacks. I mean, look at what they did to the Browns. 31-3. Absolute dismantling. But against a disciplined team like the Niners, the cracks in the front seven showed up.
Which leads us perfectly into the offseason. The 2026 financial crossroads. Because now that you're good, you have to pay the price of being good.
The business of football. It's undefeated.
So, the big question looming over everything, Caleb Williams.
Laughs. Is it a question? It's a rhetorical question.
Some people love the drama of trade him for a haul. But you look at the number.
You don't trade a winning lottery ticket. Here is the reality. Caleb Williams is on a rookie contract. His cap hit is $10.7 million. In a league where quarterbacks are making $60 million a year, Caleb is the most valuable asset in the entire NFL. Period.
It's the cheat code.
It is. That low cap number allows you to spend aggressively everywhere else. But to find even more space, there's going to be a purge.
The 2026 purge. Who are we looking at?
It's tough because these are guys fans like. But look at Tremaine Edmonds. Look at DeAndre Swift. If you move on from those veteran contracts, you're saving roughly $22 million. That is massive flexibility.
And where does that money and that draft capital go?
There is only one answer. Edge rusher.
You think so?
I know so. You have Montez Sweat, and he's a beast. But he needs a partner. You need a monster on the other side. With the extra picks they've stockpiled, I expect them to hunt for a premier pass rusher. You fix that, and suddenly that 49ers loss doesn't happen again.
It's incredible to think about where we are. We aren't talking about rebuilding. We aren't talking about finding an identity.
No, the search for a savior is over.
For the first time in 40 years, the Chicago Bears are entering a season not hoping to be competitive, but preparing for a Super Bowl run.
It gives you chills, doesn't it? The narrative is dead. This isn't a defensive town anymore. Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams have turned Chicago into a modern offensive powerhouse.
The window is open.
Open? My friend, the window hasn't just been opened, it's been kicked down. Now they just have to walk through it.
And we will be watching every step of the way. That's all the time we have for this deep dive.
Can't wait for September.
Thanks for listening, everyone.